Welcome everybody to another Book of Stephen podcast. I'm your host, LaRoss Stephen, aka Stephen, and or King Stephen. And I'm here today to talk about the destruction of the feeding place, the plot uncovered. I warn you, if you have not watched the Silence of the Lambs (Muslims), destruction of feeding place (football stadium) 1, 2, and 3, you'll be completely lost here. Go back and watch those videos. Also watch Destruction of the Feed Place, exact time estimate. Also go and watch Islam Against the World. But today I wanted to talk about the plot to destroy the feeding place, the football stadium, and Colin Kaepernick, which is one of the greatest markers of tyranny and pollution and conspiracy, I think, in modern human history. Colin Kaepernick is not playing football right now, not because of racial injustice, but because of war profiteering. And nobody seems to want to openly and honestly approach this fact. But the NFL owners were paid a lot of money by the Defense Department to have the soldiers and people at these national anthems. And Colin Kaepernick messed up that money, at least a lot of it, because they gave a lot of it back when the patriotism story came out. They had to give all that money back. And I'm sure they still get lots of dirty money under the table, but it's definitely not being as comfortably exchanged as it once was. And Colin Kaepernick is not playing because the storyline that the owners and the Defense Department are trying to paint right now. What's the storyline? America loves its troops. America loves its military. And the players do too. The young men do too. And there's a couple big problems with this. First of all, America doesn't love its soldiers. I think they have the highest rate of homelessness of any other profession or job that exists. They have horrible health care. When they get injured during war, the military doesn't cover their injuries. It's a terrible organization from a standpoint of neglect and negligence. But that's the picture they're painting, so that when they do blow up the football stadium in this false flag attack where nobody will die, the college football stadium, they can go to war with the Muslim and explain that the Muslim blew up the football stadium, one of the centerpieces of American freedom and liberty. Your ability to go to games and watch games, which I don't really know how many minorities or poor people are going to these games anymore. I don't think going to professional sporting events is very American. It's rich American, but it's not for all Americans. These games are astronomically priced. If it's really a symbol of American freedom, why isn't it more affordable? Nonetheless, that being said, this symbol of American freedom is attacked, and now you should all be mad and kill Muslims because, while we were honoring our soldiers, they interrupted us. Don't you think that's weird? You were honoring the soldiers at a football game for setting you free. So they're not honoring, and that's another thing that's strange. They're not honoring the great civil rights leaders and their legacies, the people or the great Americans who really did participate in efforts to make the constitutional America a much more bearable experience. The Martin Luther King Jr.'s, the James Merediths, Medgar Evers, Jesse Jackson, Al Sharpton, they participated too. They're still living. Rabbi Joshua Ben Heschel, what about his family? John Brown, Elijah Lovejoy, Jeremiah Everett with the Native Americans. So many different people have contributed really significant contributions to the transformation of white racist constitutional America into something more not nearly perfect, but definitely more livable than what the Constitution was. And you don't see them honoring or celebrating them. No, they're celebrating people that participated in the brutality of American imperialism and might have really, seeing it as though they're bringing people in from the Iraq and Afghanistan wars, participated in war crimes and talking about how they set people free. They didn't set anybody free. Service to American imperialism is not about freedom and liberty and justice and the expansion of those things. From the halls of Montezuma to the shores of Tripoli is about white supremacy. Halls of Montezuma went through Western America, and non-white people. The shores of Tripoli went through the East, the Barbary Wars, through non-white people. That's a slogan that celebrates the brutality of white supremacy through non-white territories, non-white Muslim territories, to the shores, as if, and isn't it strange that I believe the shores of Tripoli, the Barbary Wars, were before the Battle of Chapultepec, the halls of Montezuma, but the halls of Montezuma are first and the shores of Tripoli are last. And that's where American imperialistic expansion through and white supremacy is ending. Isn't that weird? So the halls of Montezuma, westward expansion, eastward expansion is the downfall of through Muslim territories. That's the downfall of Western civilization and or American civilization and Western civilization forever. And this is the Marine chants, and this is what they celebrate. So American militaristic expansion and activity is ending where it started, because the first ever foreign excursion that the military had was against Muslim terrorists or the Barbary pirates, on the shores of Tripoli. And that's where they're ending right now. And, it's a strange narrative going on in the football stadium in the light of the realities of the brutality of American imperialism, and it's disgusting. It absolutely robs the real heroes, the real heroic American citizens throughout history of their contributions. Muhammad Ali especially, being a Muslim and being a black against war, and being an athlete. It's an absolutely false narrative. I don't know where it's coming from, but that's the picture that America wants to paint, is that we were out there loving our soldiers and loving our servicemen, and the Muslim came to stop us. And that's a trap that is going to lead so many, especially white children, to destruction. Because destruction for joining in on this attack, this attempted annihilation of or genocide of Muslim people, is a complete annihilation, according to the word of the Lord that I received. So that's why Colin Kaepernick isn't playing football right now, because he wasn't loving the troops in America. And then the black players start joining in with him. And so the protest, not the protest, but the stance against the destruction of the shepherd, and I discussed this in the previous video, it really fucked up the plan of the owners to destroy the feeding place. Like, we're going to blow up the football stadium. That's going to, according to Article 5 of North Atlantic Treaty Organization, that's going to start the war. And when they start taking knees for killing the young black male, oh shit, Americans don't love America, and they don't love the troops, and everybody sees it. When we start the war, it won't be as powerful now. So the subconscious, or the conscious stance against the destruction of young black males' peers has interrupted an otherwise brilliant plan to legally annihilate and genocide the most significant population, national population in the world, which is Islam. That's the biggest nation in the world, bigger than China. There's more Muslims than there are Chinese people. Okay? That is, and if it was not for the slaughter of the young black male, there would be no resistance to the slaughter of the Muslim. At least, it's all subconscious, but there is no conscious resistance to the slaughter of the Muslim, at least through the athlete. Now, I'll say this, though. Even though Colin Kaepernick was for the consciously against the slaughter of young black male, the shepherd in this case, because the shepherd, the young black male, me and the rising sun, we're the first two shepherds of the sheep. Okay, we're the first two that's consciously aware of this. So one of the shepherds, at least, the destruction of the shepherd and the destruction of the sheep in the feeding place, this is subconsciously, America is ruining God's plan, right? That's what they're attacking, is that Stephen is supposed to feed the sheep at the feeding place, okay? That being said, Colin Kaepernick, although he has not consciously yet been a dissident of America's war against Islam, Colin Kaepernick loves the sheep. I know he does. You know how I know he does? This is strange. I don't know. I guess God works in mysterious ways, but if he's still his girlfriend is a Muslim. And I think that's another reason why he's not playing. Because we don't want you here talking about your little terrorist girlfriend, Colin Kaepernick, talking about how she's human and her family is human and they dying in whatever country they from. I don't know where they're from. But we don't want to hear that shit, Colin Kaepernick. Nobody cares about your sheep. Okay? I think the owners and people were aware of that. And when they seen that shit, they panicked too. Okay? That's disgusting. His girlfriend is a Muslim. Did you know that? I ain't heard that. I haven't heard that reference. All right. So Colin Kaepernick loves the shepherd. He loves the sheep. And he wants to be at the feeding place. So Colin Kaepernick, I don't know if he's a born-again Christian or anything. He's not shining that bright. But damn it, that's pretty good. I think he's about to shine a little brighter too. But Colin Kaepernick loves the shepherd. And of course, we see he's in a relationship with one of the sheep. Now, if he lived on a farm, that'd be pretty messed up if he was having relations with the sheep. But in this case, relations with the sheep is good. It's not at all perverted. Oh, shit. I had to tell that joke. I did. But yeah, relations with the sheep say good things about you. Maybe he'll be a shepherd. I don't know. But typically, shepherds shouldn't have relations with the sheep. Okay, enough of that. Anyway, yeah, man, that's what this is all about. Is that that's what the Defense Department and the owners, that's the picture they want to paint. And that's why they motherfucking asses is going to jail for a very long time. Because fuck that. That's fucked up. If they don't go to jail, nobody should go to jail. They should tear down all the prisons. Everywhere. Fuck it. The whole concept is booty. Because if the NFL owners and these people at the Defense Department aren't going to go to jail for this shit, are you telling me that you hated Colin Kaepernick and you're going to blow up his car and do all this kind of crazy shit because you wanted to start a war and genocide a group of people, and subconsciously he managed to stand in the way of that because he was standing against the murder of black children? If these motherfuckers don't go to jail, if they don't go to hell, get rid of it all. You know, what for? Why do these things even exist? If the football owners, Jerry Jones, let's talk about that. Let's talk about Jerry Jones and Papa John's fucking pizza man. What the fuck? Who is the most outspoken owner against the stances at the national protest? oil baron and warmonger himself, Jerry fucking Jones. How did Jerry Jones get rich? Oil. Him, T. Boone Pickens, all them motherfuckers. They all oil barons and shit. Okay? And where's there a lot of oil? Where there's a lot of Muslims. Okay? At least where there's a lot of vulnerable oil. Where's there oil and no soldiers to defend the oil? Iraq. I don't know about Afghanistan. I think in Syria, though, there's plenty of oil. I'm not sure. I'm not an oil expert. But yeah, you see the American military is wherever all the oil is, or wherever all the lithium is. Wherever there are rare earth minerals and oil, the American military seems to be. Jerry Jones has never been a stickler for morals or values that I know of, but he hates Colin Kaepernick and people that don't stand during the national anthem. Come on, Jerry Jones. You're a crook. That's what you are. You don't give a fuck about conduct or anything like that. You're not so holy. It's about the fact that that's where the money is for you and your friends. Like Papa John's Pizza Man. I forget his fucking name. Fuck him. Who cares? I thought he was a nice guy when I seen the commercials. That's how they painted him. He was a nice family man. Papa John's Pizza Man ain't shit. He's a fucking war profiteer. He's a billionaire. And it seems like most white billionaires are big into investing in war. That's what it seems like to me. Vince McMahon with Rob Van Dam. Don't you remember that? I covered that in one of the, I think it's Silence of the Lambs, Destruction of Fiend Place 3 or 2. One of them. Vince McMahon punished Rob Van Dam for not going to the U.S. Soul Show over in Iraq. Okay. That was 10 years ago. And then way before that, we had Muhammad Ali. That's why they didn't want him to box. Because these people, when you're an athlete and you don't support the war, you're an impediment to the recruiting effort. But why should you be a part of the recruiting effort? You're not getting paid to do that shit. You box. You play baseball or whatever. Why do you need to support the troops? What? And then the fans and the American people don't have any dissonance to this. That's even more, convicting. Because hundreds of, and you know why? One of the biggest reasons is in a city like I live in St. Louis, war is big business. In St. Louis, we got about 20,000 jobs with Boeing. They test fighter jets here. We got Scott Air Force Base. I don't know how many thousand people are stationed there. We got the geospatial, National Geospatial Intelligence Agency. That's about 10,000 jobs. Okay, so that's about 40,000 war jobs. We got a map making place. Okay, and then so 40,000 plus all their family members. It's probably a couple 100,000 people linked to war in St. Louis. Like I think a good chunk of people are linked to war in St. Louis. Or making money off war producing efforts. And that's how a lot of America is, because there's hundreds of thousands of jobs. Northrop Grumman, United Technologies, big war manufacturers, And that's why Americans don't have a problem with it, because they got jobs producing weapons and stuff like that. Just like Americans don't have problems with the prison. I work in a jail. I don't work in a jail, but that's what they be saying, My daddy is in the military. Nobody wants to convict their fathers or their people of war crimes, and that's bad, because it's time to be separated, guys. Judgment is close, and the destruction that judgment is bringing is right around the corner, and it's at a typical concerning Western civilization's conquest in Muslim territories, a typically 100% failure rate. The first Anglo-Afghan war, the British lost almost all their people. Okay? Dr. William Brighton, when him and Alexander Burns were in Afghanistan, and he was the only survivor, almost 100% of the British force was lost there. And now you're going to have the Americans lost at 100% rate. Another chapter of 100% failure rate in American, the history at least of American imperialism. The university Greys tried to, fighting to preserve slavery in the Confederacy. They lost almost 100% of their participants. The same God is dealing with the same sick efforts at imperialism and conquest as he always has, completely. God is good. And Americans are refusing to be separated from these horrible things, no matter the great evidences that are being presented to them. And Mr. Kaepernick is definitely one of the greatest evidences of these disgusting actions that are going on at playing fields. Want to blow up the playing field to get the kids excited about war. Because if you see, your soldiers were trying to fight for you to play football, and the Muslim came and tried to stop you from playing. You need to join your soldiers in fighting against these bad people that you don't know. Get the fuck out of here. Are you kidding me? That didn't make any sense at all. They just want the kids to be excited and enthusiastic about war. It wasn't Jackie Robinson. It wasn't James Meredith, first black student at Ole Miss. It wasn't Jim Brown, It wasn't Reggie White. It wasn't any of the Walter Payton, It wasn't black guys like that paved the way and served as pioneers for you playing sports. It's the fucking U.S. military. Are you fucking kidding me? Arthur Ashe or people like that. We know the black athletes that broke down barriers and ushered in the era that you had today where black athletes are the most dominant. No. It was that white soldier. It was General John J. Pershing and them. Get the fuck out of here. General MacArthur. They didn't fight for your rights. Although John J. Pershing, he did employ black soldiers. Very important figure. We'll do that another day. But anyway, that's all I got to say today. That's the plot uncovered at the football field, is that the owners hate the players because they're getting in the way of the fucking money. Get out of the way, niggas, because we don't care about you dying in the streets. We trying to get this war going. It's amazing how justice, is all connected. The neglect of the black male and the Muslim, the young black male and the Muslim, and the terror that's going on in the football field connected in this one beautiful picture. It's all connected, guys. Pay attention. Justice is one because God is one. And it's about to fall on the heads of the wicked Americans. Yep, that's all for today, guys. It's been another Book of Stephen podcast. I'm out. Hope you guys enjoyed it. I hope you've been enlightened.